Chapter 6. A bet with the devil. Napoleon would have succumbed against the devil. One thing is to be in the battlefield against other males, and another is the fight against oneself. Satan is a golden enemy, and he is very useful. The devil is a ladder to descend, and it is also a ladder to ascend. The 12 labors of Hercules are with the devil. The pact with the devil is the bet itself, and the triumph is the capacity of fabricating gold. The electric force is the cross in movement, or the swastika. It is continuous movement. The transcendent electricity which turns like a vortex has served me to form the Gnostic movement. The cross in the profane and the profaners is not a swastika, because once the chemical copulation ends, the movement ends. On the other hand, in the Gnostic cross, the movement does not end because the electricity continues transmuting itself. The norm in the sexual work should be a minimum of 1 hour. In India, the degree of culture is measured according to the time that the chemical copulation is carried out. The one who lasts 3 hours is respected and is a lord. The swastika in movement generates transcendent sexual electricity. Hitler knew about these things, and that is why he took the swastika as the symbol of his party. The man of green gloves belonged to the clan of Dagdupas. Hitler let himself be dazzled by this man, and he was taught to crystallize everything negatively. When von Litz capitulated, the monks in Lhasa of the Dagdupas launched themselves to the streets celebrating the capitulation of Berlin. The Second World War was a duel between the teachings of Gurdjieff and that of the Dagdupas. This duel was imported from Tibet, and it was a true struggle between the white and black magicians of Tibet. Sexual super dynamics. It would be useless to possess all the erudition of this world if one were not to die in oneself. The destruction of the psychic aggregates is only possible in the forge of the Cyclops, in full chemical coitus. Man and woman, sexually united, are surrounded by terrible cosmic forces. Man and woman, sexually united, are enveloped by the powerful forces which brought the universe into existence. Man is the positive force, the woman is the negative force. The neutral force reconciles both. If the three forces are directed against a psychic aggregate, the latter is reduced to cosmic dust. Man, in full chemical coitus, should help his wife by taking her psychic aggregates as if they were his own. The woman should also take the psychological aggregates of the man as if they were hers. In this manner, the positive, negative and neutral forces, properly united, will be directed against any aggregate. This is the key of sexual superdynamics, to disintegrate the psychic aggregates. Man and woman, sexually united, should pray asking Devi Kundalini to disintegrate such and such a psychic aggregate, which has been previously comprehended in depth. If the man wants to disintegrate a psychic aggregate, whether it be of hatred, lust, jealousy, etc., he will clamor to the Divine Mother Kundalini imploring her to disintegrate such an aggregate, and his wife will help him with the same supplication, as if the aggregate were hers. The man will also proceed in this manner with the psychic aggregates of the woman, taking them as his own. The totality of the forces of the man and the woman, during the metaphysical copulation, should be directed, whether towards the psychic aggregates of the man, or towards those of the woman. In this manner we will put an end to the ego. This is the key of sexual superdynamics, the connection of the lingam yoni, without the ejaculation of the entity of the semen, directing the three forces against each psychic aggregate. Let us not forget that during the chemical coitus, the man and woman united, are truly an omnipotent and terrible divine androgyny. The Mercury. The one who possesses the Mercury of the sages will attain the final liberation. It would not be possible to achieve the Philosopher's Stone if one does not first of all get to know oneself. The preparation of the Mercury is usually difficult. The Mercury results from the transformation of the Achuhahari or rough Mercury. The rough Mercury represents a sacred sperm. Many are the minerals which become Mercury, but not all minerals can become the latter. The preparation of the Mercury is similar to the assimilation of food. The dry Mercury, the counter-transference, the ego, should be eliminated if we truly want a clean and pure Mercury for the great work. 20 is the mathematical differential mean of two quantities. If the dry Mercury is not eliminated, the differential mean cannot exist. We have to psychologically go through the phases of earth, water, air and fire. Through the elimination and psychological comprehension of the dry mercury, one attains the refinement of the sacrament of Rome. The interior igneous rose, impregnated with sulfur fire, ascends gloriously through the spinal canal, giving us comprehension or light in order to comprehend the mechanisms of the ego. The mercury transforms one into a knight of life and death. The universal mercury exists. The cosmocrators had to work in the forge of the Cyclops sex at the beginning of the Mahamanvantara. This is not comprehended by the followers of Hegel's dialectic of nature. In the chaos, the mineral in the rough state, the army of the word, the couples, work to disintegrate the dry mercury. The ancient earth, much dry mercury had to be eliminated. In the revolution of the dialectic, in integral revolution, one has to do on a small scale what the logos did on a large scale. The human beings who do the great work are inwardly very different from a humanoid, although radical differences are not seen externally due to the former having eliminated the dry mercury from themselves. The pure and clean excess of the mercury forms a superior octave in the different existential bodies. For such an effect, one has to work in the laboratory of the third logos. In order to objectively understand the revolution of the dialectic, one needs the donum Dei, in other words, the gift of God. There exists no tomorrow for the personality of the disembodied. The personality is a form of the dry mercury in which we waste much energy, the energy that we should utilize to fortify and carry out in us the transference of consciousness. A strong individuality totally replaces the personality, which is a grotesque form of the dry mercury. The energy which we spend in the personality should be utilized to eliminate everything that does not belong to the being. Such is the case of the negative customs, which are also forms of dry mercury. By disintegrating the dry mercury, through sexual superdynamics and self-respect, we will become accustomed, therefore, to live in an impersonal manner. Chapter 7. Fundamental Education. I will never become tired of emphasizing that the academic and educational systems of these degenerated times are only useful to adulterate the authentic values of the being. Facts have come to demonstrate that I am right. Each school year, approximately 500 West German children will commit suicide, according to the statistics of previous years. It is estimated that 14,000 adolescents will try to take their lives, and a high number of them, 1 out of every 3 students under 16 years of age, will have severe symptoms of tension caused by what the Germans denominate as Schulangst, which means acute scholar anxiety. The pressures and tensions of school, which some children find that they cannot combat, are responsible for one of the most serious situations which the youth face. Schulangst seems to be one more social phenomena, the result of a highly competitive school system not only in Germany but also in all the countries of the world, mixed with high unemployment and a hierarchic society which worships foolish academic diplomas as a ticket to obtain highly remunerated jobs and a status symbol. The number of school-aged children who go through this type of anxiety feel that the systems of tension are unbearable. According to a study carried out by Karl Strittmatter, a professor of educational science, 1 out of every 3 boys under 16 years of age suffer chronic stomach problems, wet their beds while sleeping, or suffer severe headaches. 1 out of every 5 students are under psychiatric treatment, and it has been found that even children 9 years old suffer ulcers due to school tension. The interesting thing of the case are the statistics on school suicide, especially discouraging due to the age of the victims. Of the 517 students under 18 years of age who committed suicide in Germany in 1976, 103 were between 10 and 15 years of age. The level of suicide among young people under 18 years of age is approximately 3.3 in every 100, in West Germany, 50% higher than in the United States, where suicide among adolescents is also an alarming problem. As long as one does not work with a fundamental education based on the solid principles of free initiative, non-imitation, creative liberty, conscious attention, value, love, how to think, knowing how to listen, wisdom, generosity, comprehension, integration, simplicity, peace, veracity, intelligence, vocation, etc., explained in my book Fundamental Education, not only children and adolescents, but adults as well, will continue in acute anxiety and in the monstrous increase of the suicide rate. The press. All newspapers are filled with ideas which in reality falsify the mind. In this path of psychological liberation, it is not convenient to falsify the mind. It seems to me that in order for there to be true mental health, one needs conscious faith. The press fills the mind with skepticism, and the latter alters the equilibrium of the mind, because it makes it ill. Journalists are 100% skeptical by nature. Mental health is not possible as long as conscious faith does not exist. The skepticism of journalists is contagious and destroys the mind. Children, instead of reading foolishness, should be taken to the countryside and fairy tales of olden times narrated to them. In this manner, their mind will remain open and free of prejudices of these decadent and degenerated times. In these decrepit and mechanical times it is necessary to recover the capacity of amazement. Unfortunately, modern people have lost this capacity. Television. What is important in life is to not fill the mind with foreign ideas that are seen on television, since with time they become effigies. The images that are seen on television are reproduced in the mind, transforming themselves into representations that take up psychological reality. It is necessary to have the mind cleaned so that the being can officiate in our psychological universe, free of the shackles of the ego. Those who search for the integral revolution can see useful movies that are related to nature so that they can obtain objective benefits for the superlative consciousness of the being. Ultra-modern music. Modern music does not have harmony nor authentic melody, and it lacks precise rhythm as well. I consider modern music to be inharmonious, with a type of strident sounds which is harmful for all the 5 cylinders of the human machine. Music of an ultra-modern type harms the nervous system and alters all the organs of the human physiology. Modern music does not keep concordance with the melodies of the infinite. If the ego is destroyed, one will vibrate with the cosmic music and with that of the world of the spheres. Romantic music is related with the things of time and is illusory. Classical music leads us to the communion with the ineffable which is not of time and is the eternal, Solzhenitsyn. The great Russian scientist Georges Lakhovsky, after having profoundly studied the sunspots, arrived at the discovery that an intimate relationship exists between them and wars. In this era of remote-controlled rockets, profound studies have been made on cosmic rays and their influences on the living cell and organisms in general. The complex mechanism of remote-controlled rockets can be controlled by means of radioactive waves. Neither the radioactivity of the planets in space, nor their electromagnetic influence upon living organisms can be denied any longer. A cosmic law called Solzhenitsyn exists, which has manifested itself on our planet Earth 40 times after the submersion of Atlantis. Such a cosmic law results from the electromagnetic tension of the worlds. Solar system of Urs has a neighboring system called Beludo. There also exists in the cosmos the famous comet Solny, which sometimes draws dangerously close to the resplendent Beludo. Such a resplendent sun has many times seen itself forced to develop a strong magnetic tension in order to be able to firmly maintain its customary cosmic path. This tension, as is natural and logical, provokes identical tension in all the neighboring suns, among which is our sun called Urs. When our sun Urs puts itself in electromagnetic tension so that the cosmic path it follows is not modified, it originates identical tension on all the planets of the solar system of Urs, including our planet Earth. This is the cosmic Solzhenitsyn, the great law which acts on our Earth at very long intervals. Normally, this great law produces intense religiosity and profound yearning for inner self-realization, but when humanity is not psychologically prepared for the action of this law, the result is customarily catastrophic. In the year 1917, the aforementioned cosmic law manifested itself intensely, but since the Russian proletariat was full of profound resentments and bitterness, Solzhenitsyn was combined in an abnormal and negative manner with the psyche of each individual. The result of that negative combination was the Bolshevik Revolution. It had already been a while that Russia had been preparing itself psychologically for this bloody revolution. The Bolshevik Revolution was certainly the result of an extremely bad combination of Solzhenitsyn with the psychological idiosyncrasy of each individual. One of the characteristics of this law in action is the yearning for freedom. However, there were in Russia, during that time of the Bolshevik Revolution, a few persons who were able to intelligently take advantage of Solzhenitsyn to develop objective reason, individual self-consciousness and the revolution of the dialectic which will also emerge during these times. Many years have passed and we do not yet know when Solianensius will return. What we do know is that we should prepare ourselves psychologically to receive it in an intelligent manner and achieve, with the help of the same, the integral revolution that I propose in an objective manner in this treatise. It is but logical to think that if Solianensius finds us without psychological preparation, the result has to be a catastrophe. It is good to record in our memory, and to never forget that the Bolshevik Revolution and the War of 7 Days were really a social catastrophe. We should aspire to carry out on the earth the revolution of the dialectic, and that is why it is necessary to prepare ourselves psychologically, as best as possible. It would be lamentable for the next Solianensius to find us without any type of psychological preparation. In the past, each time that Solianensius manifested itself, it was catastrophic when humanity was not prepared. Let us remember ancient Egypt. Between one dynasty and another there were terrible events. Twice did Solianensius manifest itself in a catastrophic manner in the sunny land of Kim. In the first one, the people, in a bloody revolution, elected rulers through blood and death. The candidates who had in his sacred vase the greatest number of eyes belonging to the legitimately constituted ruling class, would be elected as a new ruler. It is clear that the scenes of such a revolt were horrible. In the second manifestation of this cosmic law, the Egyptian people, infuriated, rose against their rulers and killed them by piercing them from side to side with a sacred metallic cable. On that occasion, neither sex nor age was respected, and that cable seemed more like a macabre necklace which was later dragged by beasts and thrown into the Nile. Solianensius produces yearnings for liberation, revolution of consciousness, but when the human being is not prepared, it only occurs to him to kill the rulers, to assassinate others, dethrone kings, cause wars, etc. We should prepare ourselves psychologically for Solianensius. We need to become self-conscious and carry out upon the face of the earth a revolution of the dialectic.